Tessa on her first day at a new college, far from home. Her mother, Carol, and boyfriend Noah drop her off at her dorm, where she meets two outgoing girls, Steph and Tristan, after her mother notices the smell of weed and gives her a sign to talk alone.
What are you talking about? That room reeked.
Tessa reassures her not to worry. Her mother expresses pride and wishes her well before leaving, and Tessa shares a sweet kiss with her boyfriend. Back in her room, Steph asks if Tessa made her mother anxious. When Steph mentions Tessa's brother, Tessa corrects her, saying he's her boyfriend. The next morning, Tessa eagerly heads to class and meets Landon, an English major, while she studies economics. She shows excitement for her new classes. After a nice bath, Tessa returns to her dorm and is surprised to find a guy sitting in her room, calmly reading.
I'm not looking.
She asks him to leave, but he tells her not to worry since he's not interested. Steph arrives and confirms he's her friend, inviting Tessa to a party. The next day, Tessa sees him again in the library, making her feel uncomfortable as they briefly lock their eyes. Later, Steph approaches her about going to a party that night. At the party, everyone is drinking and having a great time. Later, Tessa meets all of Steph's friends, who encourage her to drink. Initially hesitant, she takes a shot after a girl makes a rude comment about her. They then decide to play truth or dare. Tessa opts for truth but passes on the question about her wildest romantic experience, choosing to dare instead.
Are you a virgin?
A guy from the group asks if she wants to take on a dare, but feeling overwhelmed, she walks away. When she calls her boyfriend, he scolds her for drinking, prompting her to hang up. Later, she wanders into an empty storage room to look at some books. The same guy Hardin approaches her again, asking what she's searching for, and holds her hand, asking if their dare is still on. They nearly kiss, but she pulls away, saying she can't do it. The next day, she attends class and finds the same guy, named Landon, and decides to sit with him. When the professor poses a question about a romance novel, Hardin expresses his belief that love is merely a transaction, suggesting that people are inherently wired to desire certain traits that can be easily switched on and off. In contrast, Tessa argues against him, pointing out that in the past, women would reject men who treated them poorly, which she finds quite remarkable. Their debate continues for a while, and afterward, Hardin approaches her, saying he found their discussion exciting before walking away.
I enjoyed it.
Look, whatever you're thinking, don't.
Tessa then turns to London to express her frustration, calling Hardin arrogant. That night, Steph decides to get a tattoo and encourages Tessa to join her. During their conversation, Tessa admits that Noah is the only person she has ever dated, and her mother believes they will eventually marry. The following day, while grabbing a coffee, Hardin approaches Tessa. He expresses a desire to start fresh and become friends since they share a mutual friend in Steph. Hardin suggests showing her a special spot, but Tessa feels hesitant. They drive a few miles in his car to a secluded area that resembles a jungle. After a short walk, Tessa spots a large lake that captures her attention. Hardin shares that this is his favorite place and invites her to swim. He quickly takes off his clothes and jumps into the water, encouraging her to join him. Gradually, he helps her into the water, and they begin to have fun together. Tessa questions him about wanting to be friends, but he explains that a friendship between them is impossible. In that charged moment, they begin to kiss passionately. Afterward, he turns his gaze away, allowing her a moment to collect herself. But instead of pulling back, Tessa reaches out to him, igniting a series of romantic exchanges. Each touch sends her heart racing and her breath quickening. Later, they head to a bar together. Tessa tries to delve into Hardin's past, but he chooses to sidestep the question. When she asks why he doesn't believe in love, referencing his earlier comments in class, he urges her not to take everything he says seriously, which makes her laugh. At that moment, Steph and another friend of Hardin's arrive, and he begins to act somewhat strangely. Eventually, he confides in Tessa that while their time together has been enjoyable, he doesn't engage in dating. This revelation comes just as Tessa is about to tell him about her boyfriend. After she leaves, Hardin appears somewhat disheartened. The next morning, back in her dorm, Tessa wakes up to find Hardin sitting beside her, but it turns out to be just a dream. The next day, Tessa is surprised to find her boyfriend, Noah, waiting outside with flowers. That night, they attend a party where Steph and her friends decide to play a game called Suck and Blow. When it's Tessa's turn, she opts out, prompting Noah to act a bit protective. Hardin intervenes, leading to a confrontation before leaving. Tessa watches a movie with Noah but feels uneasy. She receives a call from Landon and goes to meet him, where she learns that Hardin and Landon had a fight, and Hardin mentioned her name, hoping she could help. Landon reveals that Hardin is upset about his father marrying Landon's mother, while Hardin's own mother lives in poor conditions back in London. In a moment of frustration, Hardin breaks a glass, causing Tessa to get hurt while trying to help. He takes her to his room and apologizes for how he treated her before, admitting that he's a mess. Tessa agrees, acknowledging her own struggles. This leads to a small romantic moment between them, and eventually, she ends up spending the night in his room. When she wakes up, Noah is understandably worried about her. After seeing Hardin, Noah realizes what's happening.
Noah, wait. Noah,
Tessa walks back to her dorm, where Molly notices her distress. She feels as if she has lost a best friend. One day, she spots Hardin outside, and they decide to talk. Tessa opens up about her father leaving when she was just 10 and how her mother struggled to cope. One day, Hardin convinces Tessa to stay in the library after it closes, but soon security finds them, and they laugh as they run away, creating a memorable moment. Their relationship begins to attract the attention of their friends. One day, Tessa notices Hardin writing in his notebook and wants to see what he's doing, but he playfully teases her. Before long, they start sharing romantic moments together. Suddenly, Tessa's mother bursts in and finds them in a compromising position, which infuriates her. Tessa argues back, insisting that she will live her life on her own terms, not according to her mother's expectations.
what are you talking about? I'm not.
This upsets her mother. Later, Tessa confides in Landon about the situation, but he cautions her that Hardin is complicated and advises her to be careful. Hardin then takes Tessa to a place owned by a friend of his father's, who is currently in Italy, suggesting they live there together. Later, they attend a wedding for Hardin and Landon's parents, where they meet Landon's mother, Karen, and father, who are pleased to meet Tessa. However, seeing his father with another woman deeply disturbs Hardin, prompting Tessa to try to soothe him. Hardin's father then begins to give a speech in front of the guests. While he speaks highly of Hardin, he confides in Tessa that the man she sees now is not the father he grew up with. As they share this moment, they start to dance, gazing into each other's eyes. Eventually, they retreat into a private room, where Tessa decides to embrace a more romantic atmosphere.
Yeah.
However, tension arises when Molly watches Tessa with evident jealousy and later questions her about her boyfriend. Molly expresses curiosity about Hardin, but Tessa is reluctant to disclose too much information. At the gathering, Tessa finds Steph and her friends, revealing that she has been living off campus with Hardin. Molly hints that something is happening, but it's not what Tessa thinks. She shows Tessa a video from the day they first played Truth or Dare, where Hardin was dared to make Tessa fall in love with him, after which he would turn off his feelings. Tessa is shocked and can't believe what she's seen. She insists that it's not true, claiming that his feelings were genuine. Upset, she leaves without wasting any more time. Feeling utterly alone, Tessa returns home and hugs her mother, who is there to apologize. Although she doesn't want to reveal what happened, she expresses her love for her mother. Afterward, she meets Noah, who wonders why she's there. Tessa explains that she never intended to hurt him, and they both end up laughing. Back at university, Hardin struggles with their separation, crying as he recalls all the moments they shared together. Later, Tessa receives an invitation for an interview regarding her internship at Vance Publishing. During a lecture, her teacher hands her an envelope, explaining that Hardin had given it to her. As she looks through the envelope, Tessa discovers that Hardin has been sketching her in his notebook. Additionally, she reads a piece of writing from Hardin in which he reflects on his experiences with love. He shares that after reading hundreds of novels, he had always considered love to be a mere fiction until he met his own Elizabeth Bennet. Tessa recalls a moment when she asked him who he loved most in the world, and he reveals that it is Tessa. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.